It was my idea, right, to do these on location in February. I don't know why we decided that was a good time to abandon the studio, but here we are. Beautiful downtown Toronto in February. The Snitch, which stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, although he's not The Rock in this one, he's Dwayne Johnson. That's because he's in serious actor mode. Even though I think The Rock is he the champion of wrestling again, Ryle?
I heard he came back, but I don't know if
I think he is. Let's just say he is, and people will correct us if we're wrong. That's the way we do things around here. He's in serious actor mode, and that's because Snitch is trying to be a serious movie, and for the most part, getting most of the way there. It's much better than you'd think it would be, considering it stars a guy who may or may not be the current champion of wrestling as a dad who's out to, get not really revenge, but a kind of complicated justice for his son who's kind of semi-unfairly accused of smuggling a bunch of drugs into the country. And as a result, he's sentenced, because of mandatory minimum sentencing laws and a tough federal prosecutor, to decades or more in jail. And as a result, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson's character, who owns a construction company, has a bunch of trucks, says, what if I manage to get him to snitch on people? If I snitch on people, because he won't snitch on people. And the prosecutor, because it's movie land, says, okay, sure, if you can manage to, on your own, somehow weirdly set up some kind of drug sting, I'll let your kid out of jail. And then, of course, because it's movie land, he ends up entangled with the head of the Nuevo Leon cartel, or at least the operations in this part of America of the dreaded Nuevo Leon Mexican drug cartel. And it's not quite as action movie as you'd be led to believe from the trailer. There's one or two kind of action sequences in it, but they're actually so out of place given how somber and serious the rest of the movie is that they're not really even close to the best parts of the movie. But the problem with the film, and the reason that it's not a full-on recommend this weekend, is because it tries to be a serious drug film without ever actually getting any of the serious drug film details right. The moments, you're making a character-based thing, which this is, that rely on some kind of adherence to reality, some kind of insight into the way that theoretical or real drug cartels would work, are kind of missing. There's a bunch of coincidence. There's a bunch of just, oh, you met this guy at the junkyard and now you're working for him as part of his drug cartel. It doesn't really make sense. So what should you watch instead? There's a couple of really good movies that are semi-realistic depictions of how that drug cartel system works. There's the one about George Young, the cocaine dealer from the 80s. It's called Blow. Steven Soderbergh's Traffic is a masterpiece. It's about the Mexican drug cartels, but that's way too obvious. There's a much cooler, much better, much harder to find film, although it's on American Netflix and on DVD everywhere else. It's a documentary made as part of ESPN's really awesome 30 for 30 documentary series. Made by two brothers, and it's called The Two Escobars. It's not about the Mexican drug cartels, but the great movie that's not Traffic about the Mexican drug cartels, I think, is yet to be made. It's not Snitch, but it is about Pablo Escobar and a Colombian soccer player that's also named Escobar, and how their lives kind of reflect each other, and how they both ended up being killed in the ways that, the Colombian drug cartels in their heyday affected life in Colombia at the time, and how sports and drugs and culture all actually in real life interact with kind of really interesting bloody results. It's a fantastic documentary, and it's ignored by a lot of people because it's an ESPN film and they think it's too much about sports. It is about sports, but it's also about a bunch of other interesting real life stuff. It's fantastic, so you should watch that. Instead, can we please go in the car? Now, Ryo.
Yeah.
If you touched that guy over there, he'd shatter.